Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel again. So as you have already aware that recently ISRO has launched LVM3 M2 mission, which is basically carrying the payload of 36 satellites which is to be placed in low earth orbits. This is basically the landmark launch by ISRO because it is basically considered to be one of the greatest achievement of ISRO in the commercial section. It is one of the first commercial launch by ISRO. So in light of this development, we will see what is the launch vehicle which ISRO have, and we will also see different types of launch vehicle and their payload capacity. Before moving forward, I want to tell something about me. My name is Abhishek. You are watching Current Affairs series with me. So what happened? Indian Space Research Organization ISRO crossed an important milestone with the successful launch of LVM3 M2 or One Wave India mission on Sunday. LVM3 rocket carried almost 6 tons of payload into lower Earth orbit, the most that any ISRO mission has delivered into space till date. Very few countries have the capability to launch satellites weighing more than 2 tons. So basically, this payload capacity of LVM3 was one of the greatest payload, and very few countries have achieved the payload capacity in that direction because it is very difficult to place a satellite from the surface of earth to the low earth orbit because of the resistance provided by the gravitational force which is present on the surface of earth. That's why when you see a satellite of 1000 ton of carrying capacity only able to lift the actual payload of 10 to 20 tons because of the resistance provided by the gravity which is present on the surface of earth. So it is very difficult to place a satellite in the low earth orbit from the surface of earth. Now let us see about rockets of India or the launch vehicles of India. India currently has 3 operational launch vehicles: Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle or PSLV, which there are multiple versions, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, that is GSLV, and Launch Vehicle Mark III, that is LVM3. And recently from this LVM3 vehicles, the 36 communication satellites or commercial launch of ISRO has taken place. In addition, ISRO has been working on a reusable launch vehicle. Unlike other rockets, the RLV would not end up in space as waste. So basically, ISRO at present has only 3 launch vehicles, and ISRO is working on one another launch vehicle, which is basically RLV. Now, RLV is a very important launch vehicle because the space debris, which is one of the important constituent of the present talk in the global politics or global agenda, the space debris is also a concern for the country, for the international level country, and UN and other international organizations had stepped into and forced country to take directions or take steps in regards to space debris. So ISRO has started working on this reusable launch vehicle, means it will lift the payload and uh, take it to the moon or Mars, and again the launch vehicle will come back to the surface of earth. So basically there is the debris reducement or minimization of space debris. Now, what weight will Indian satellites carry? So basically LVM3, which has been recently launched by ISRO, and 36 satellites has been carried through that. So it carries approximately 8 tons of payload capacity. Now, if this same satellite will carry the payload capacity to geosynchronous earth orbit, it is able to carry 4 tons of payload capacity. So this is one of the important point to be noted. Now, if we see the payload capacity and the lift off mass of various launch vehicles of different organizations, you can see that Ariane 5, which is Europe's heaviest, has the lift off mass of 780 tons and payload capacity of LEO is only 20 tons and GTO is only 10 tons. Falcon Heavy, which is a SpaceX launch vehicle, lift off mass is 1420 and LEO is 64 tons. So basically SpaceX is one of the highest, you can say the highest payload carrying capacity launch vehicles, that is Falcon Heavy. Long March, which is China's heaviest, only carries 14 tons GTO at GTO, whereas from space launch vehicle of NASA, you can see it carries 27 tons to GTO. So maximum payload carrying capacity of each of a Falcon Heavy, which is very important satellite. If you see the heavy lifters of LVM3, PSLV, GSLV, you can see the LEO payload capacity is 8, 1.75 and 6, which is very low as comparison to the international standards. Now, what are the constraints in India? So there are two constraints. One constraints I have already mentioned in my video, that is the resistance offered by the earth surface when a satellite is launched from the surface of earth to the low earth orbit. There is a huge resistance of the earth by earth surface in the name of gravity. So a satellite carrying capacity ultimately reduces due to huge resistance provided by the gravitational force. Second is that the fuel sets used by satellite is single. Nowadays satellites or the launch vehicles which are used by various organizations has started using various other satellites, various other launch vehicles which can carry, which can take multiple or sets of fuel into that. Let us see a UPSC prelims based question which can be framed from this topic. Consider the following statements. Communication satellites is generally placed in geosynchronous orbit. This is a false statement. Communication satellite or Earth observational satellite or remote sensing satellite is generally placed in low Earth orbit, because from the low earth orbit we can able to map the surface of earth, we can able to see the topography of earth surface. Satellites used in military are placed in low earth orbit. This is also a false statement. Basically these two statements are opposite in nature and consequently false. Which of the following statement are correct? Both the statement are false. D will be our correct answer. So this is all from me regarding ISRO's LVM3 satellite mission. So if you understood the topic, then subscribe my channel, and if you gained something from this topic, then don't forget to share this channel. Thank you very much.